who has most influenced you and why? Could be one or two or three or.
Okay, it's probably my dad. My dad would be the one who's influenced the most.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be for all the logical reasons. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he for us really helped us pioneer this whole thing of the priority of the presence and what it was to minister to God. He was the one who introduced to me the whole concept of the priesthood of the believer, which basically says it's not us and them. It's that approach to life was huge.
Do you know who influenced him as far as the priority of the presence?
Well, Hayford was certainly one very key individual, Jack Hayford, and Church on the Wind. That whole movement, the Foursquare,
absolutely.
That was a real big part of our life. So I know there was influence there.
I always wonder too, like because I was raised with hymns a little bit more, and I always love it when we dig up a hymn in our own worship time as well. But some of the old hymns too really did talk about the presence of the Lord, like and He walks with me and talks with me, and He tells me I'm His own.
Exactly.
The joy we share as we tarry there. I remember being a little kid. Yeah, I feel the power on that right now. But it seems like it was built in, but maybe not highlighted as much. Or so it was in some of our hymns, but maybe not in our experience as much. Or
Jack Hayford talks about where he heard about the priesthood of the believer, first to God, to the church, to the world. He heard it from an Assembly of God teacher. But while it was understood, it was never lived at the same level that he took it to. Yeah. And then suddenly, people from the movement that declared it had to learn it from someone who actually heard it and got it, if that's a fair example. So it was something that he talks about, that he heard in this event. And it was there as a concept, but it wasn't really lived out. And I think all of us, we do that. We see a truth and we think we know it. Yeah. And then 5 years later, the Lord brings it back to us and we realize, I didn't know it at all. Yeah. And that's what I think is happening. And there's probably been generations that really understood the value of the presence more than maybe some of our forefathers. I don't know, but I know for
certain individuals did.
I know for me, when my dad began to make that move here, that was huge. Real big deal. There's several others that had great influence on.
So your dad, and then obviously Jack Hayford, because you mentioned in that story.
Yeah, Hayford.
Who else?
Mario Murillo really was the spark plug that really turned my life around. The all or nothing preaching.
He's your age, right? Is he?
Yeah, a little older than I, but yeah.
But he was somebody you could run with. That.
Yeah, he just preached an all or nothing gospel. I mean, there's just no compromise. There's no wiggle room. He drew a line in the sand. And I listened for quite a while, for months on end. And I finally said, "All right, that's me. I'm willing to take the plunge." And it's never been, never been 2 minutes of renegotiation since then. It was all or nothing.
When you say you listened for quite a while, was he speaking at church?
Yeah.
Was he speaking at the youth group?
No, my dad would bring him up. He would speak fairly often.
He came up from Chico and.
And it was wonderful. I'd come to every meeting, but I was an observer, and then there came the time where I realized you've observed long enough. It's no longer an option to watch.